Welcome to Love Lately, the podcast where we dive into the real conversations about love, relationship, and all the joys and challenges that come along with finding love and keeping it after 50.
Okay, so look, whether you're looking for love, starting over, or navigating the ins and outs of long-term commitment, we're just here to share our journey and the insights we've discovered with you.
I'm Lee, and this is my husband, Ron, and we definitely don't have all the answers. Like, trust me, we do not have all the answers. But we have many questions, and we want to unpack them with you. We will talk about what love looks like in this stage of life and how we can make it work.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and join us for honest, heartfelt, faith-filled conversations that remind us all it is never too late for love.
Welcome to Love Lately. All right. Welcome to Love Lately. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our first episode. We're so excited.
Yes.
And so we thought it would be fitting for us to just kind of start from the beginning with us a little bit, not necessarily going through our whole story, but a little bit so we can bring some hope and inspiration of how you can find love again, and hopefully some lessons that we've learned along the way that helped us just be ready to receive love.
Yes. Our story is, we have a little bit of a unique journey, but it's not any different from anyone else's story, where you've gone through the ups and downs of past relationships, maybe a marriage. And it's just about perspective, insights that we've discovered, changes, growth,
right,
and just being intentional about what we wanted, navigating through that, developing that, growing that, and getting to the point where we decided that love is still possible, and marriage, and being at peace and happy. And
right. Okay, so let's get started with some of our lessons learned.
Yes.
Okay, so first thing, our values. Yes. So we kind of knew each other a little bit before we got married and before we started dating, and we'll give you a little bit of how it all happened. You have to go to our website and maybe read the whole story of how I got into his DMs on social media.
Right.
But even then, I wasn't really sure of what even my intention was in pursuing and looking for a relationship or whatever. I really did not know. However, at a certain point, I realized, hey, there may be something here. And I ended up taking a soulmate class that one of my clients was offering, and decided to, just see what it was about. And in that class, I learned about values. And this was during the time that Ron and I were just starting to talk and learn more about each other. And learning about values really changed everything for me.
Yeah. And I think kind of in our conversation, we kind of recognized that our values were similar without even talking about it, because I wasn't looking for anything. I was locked into life and working and growth, my own personal journey of change and growth, and developing my own values, what was important to me, what those things that I could let go of, and a lot of self-reflection, and just focusing on me.
Right.
And so nothing I was expecting, nothing I was looking for. It was just a journey of growth for me.
But the key thing is really about, so many people don't know what their values are, and they're just operating through life. And we attract what we want. And if you don't know what you want, you're going to pull almost anything toward you. But when you really key in and know what your top values are, it really changes how you show up, and I believe how you even attract relationships and people toward you.
Absolutely. I think at a certain point in time in your life, values become more important than anything. Like we always say, we have more time behind us than ahead of us.
Right.
And so being solid, dead set on those values, and not
Right.
willing to accept anything less than that. I think it's important because, like you said, you do attract what you put out there. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I remember you having a discussion with me about the class you were taking, and that it's important not to discuss your values with the person that you may have that interest in, because they'll easily
Say,
manipulate
oh
that
yeah,
situation,
that's
yes,
me.
and
Right.
start to show those values without, because you've kind of already put it out there. But
Yeah.
it's just something that you look for, and it's important that you're not willing to settle
Yes.
for anything
Right.
other than what your core values are, what you settle for in your heart, settle for in your thinking, and moving forward in that, and not allowing anything to sway you from that.
Right. Yeah. And again, it's not for you to run around and tell everybody like these are my values, you need to have this, because oftentimes just out of human being human, or sometimes being manipulative, again, some people will take on those values just to get you. And so I purposely didn't tell you
Right.
what those were for me.
Yes.
And God just started to slowly show me those values that I've said, these are these things that are part of who I am, that I live, die, are so important to me. And sure enough, I saw them come up in his life. So know your values. Know your values. Stick by your values. Be your values, and see if you attract the people that are meant to be in your life.
I think it's important to have those conversations, just those serious conversations with the person that you may have an interest in, and just give them the opportunity, or look for an opportunity to delve deeper into what their life is about, what their values are, without even asking about the values, but just having those deep conversations,
Yeah.
where you can kind of figure out if this is something that lines up with where I am in my life, what I want, in the direction that I'm going in.
Yeah. Okay. So, second thing, a different perspective on marriage. This was big for me. I'm going to give my version because I had an aha moment with him that I think literally changed our relationship. It was very innocent. We were talking, and I knew from the very beginning he was being super intentional with me, which was such a welcome change in my life, and just having someone very intentional. But I still was thinking, I don't know if I ever would want to get married again. I've had my kids, I have my house. Like, what would be the point in getting married? And he asked me, he was fishing. I remember you were fishing, and I was on my way somewhere. We were talking on the phone, and you asked, are you interested in, what do you think about marriage? And I'm like, why would you have to get married again? Like, what would be the point? So I'm going on my rant about why get married again. And then you want to share what you said?
Well, my perspective on marriage, and it wasn't like I was looking for a wife. I wasn't looking for marriage. I knew that I was extremely attracted to this person. We had great conversation. I was, like she said, I was very intentional about my interest, meaning phone calls, checking up on her, just being intentional about my communication and everything. And I asked her, well, we talked about marriage, and I said, well, my perspective is that marriage is a God thing.
Yes.
Marriage is not a human or man-made
Yes.
concept.
Yes.
Marriage is a God thing.
And you said it'll never really make sense to man.
It'll never make sense to man because it's a God concept.
Yes.
Marriage is a God concept. And when you're looking for marriage, I think, or looking to tie yourself to someone, or looking to develop a relationship, hoping for marriage, or hoping for love, or hoping for something long-term, something meaningful. And I think it's important to understand that connection and that tie is a God thing. And you should look for that connection from the person you're interested in. If they have that same perspective, that if we're going to be together, if we're going to move forward, if it's something that we're looking to develop long-term, that there has to be a foundation.
Yeah.
There has to be something that we're looking for that's going to hold this whole thing together, that we can find a common tie and a bond to move forward, understanding that that has to be the center of what's going to hold us together.
Yeah.
That it's a God concept. It's not, man didn't come up with the concept of marriage. God brought forth the concept of marriage. And if we're going to move forward in that, or move forward in being intentional about something long term and something meaningful, that has to be in the midst of it all.
Yes. So that was a big thing that helped us prepare and receive love and marriage, just changing our perspective on marriage. Okay. So number 3. You want to go ahead?
Well, I think it's just having the right mindset, prayer life for marriage, or prayer for that new thing, that different thing in your life. I think that a lot of times we're looking for something great and something wonderful and something spectacular, something that we've never had. But, I always say that you can't have something new being the same you.
Yes. Can't have something new
Being
the same
you.
you.
And so what I loved about that point in time in my life when we met is that it was about me. It was about me being super, super honest with myself about all the things that I need to change and correct and grow in my life. Sometimes we look at all these situations that we've gone through, failed relationships or maybe a failed marriage. And it's so easy for us to look at the other person, look at other situations. But I think it's important that we do a deeper self-reflection, because out of all the circumstances or things that we've gone through and failed in our life, the common denominator in all of that was me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at that point in my life, I let her know that, I wasn't, involved or looking for anything. It was just about me being honest with myself, those things that I need to change about myself, doing an inventory of me.
Right. And so for other people listening, your advice is
Being honest, super, super honest with myself. Those things that I need to develop to receive whatever it is that God has for me. I can't be the same me. Like we said, you can't have something new being the same you.
Right.
And so I think it's important that we take the time to be honest and change the things about ourselves that can be a defect,
Right. Right.
in our lives.
Yeah.
A defect or a shortcoming in our life that we need to adjust, change. And we want all these great things, but I think to receive those things, there has to be some growth, change, and development in ourselves.
Right. Excellent. So that leads to our next point about being open-minded, because I know as a women, we sometimes come to the table. I don't know if men do this as much, but come to the table with our checklist of things that we have to have. And first of all, we're talking to people over 50, or sometimes some of you are listening or watching maybe over 40. But either way, as you mature in life, you understand your values, you understand the marriage concept, the things that you thought were important when you were 20 or even 30 are not necessarily the things that are important now. And we've got to be open to really looking at that list and thinking about, does this align with our values, who we are, and what we want in the future? And you may have been in some relationships in the past that were toxic or not right, and you're basing what you want off of that. And that, so really take a step back and open up your mind. And not that you were completely off from what I wanted, but I was used to...
It was different.
It was different.
Yes.
I was used to certain things. I wasn't even used to having someone, as I mentioned, being intentional with me and, calling me during the day and checking on me and wanting to see how I'm doing. I remember you calling me while I'm at work, while I'm working. I'm like, why are you, in my mind, like, why are you calling me, Right. And some of that is being open-minded to having someone pursue you in a different way, be intentional,
Yeah.
love you in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important. Different doesn't mean bad.
Right.
You know, you may need something different. We talk about how you didn't know what you needed until you got it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we
Yes.
can have our minds set on one thing. This is my life. This is how things are going. This is what I want. But that's you. That's because those things are based on my experiences, the things that I've gone through and the relationships I've gone through. And sometimes I think being willing and open-minded enough to receive something different, not to shun it or push it away because it's different. Explore it, let it happen. And sometimes you'll find out that, someone else knows you better and knows what you need more than you do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we had that conversation, and even some of our mutual friends, and one of our mutual friends had a conversation with me. It was like, I can't believe that this person, that Lee, is doing the things that she's doing willingly, because those are the things she wanted and needed and really didn't know
Right.
until she had that experience and realized that these are the things that was missing. But it does require you to be open-minded. It does require you not to shut those things out. It does require you to explore those things, receive it, let it have time to nurture. And then you'll find out that those things are not so bad.
Right. Yeah.
We push away those things that come to us that are different. And then we kind of miss the boat again.
Right.
And then we find ourselves in that never-ending cycle or circle of,
I'm having this thought. I think sometimes the thing that can get in the way nowadays of being open-minded is this whole era of manifestation that we hear people talk about all the time, and we want to name those things and believe it, that it's going to come to us. And I understand the whole concept of it. But then on the Christian faith side, there's also the concept and belief that sometimes we don't even know what to pray for or what to want.
Yeah.
So it's almost, the prayer has to be, God, give me what you think is best for me.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. I think that having that open mind and allowing God to do what he does and just kind of get out of the way, if that's your desire to allow God to bring into your life what it is that he has for you. And the funny thing about it is that most of the time it's going to happen in a way that you don't expect.
Exactly.
It's going to happen how you wouldn't expect it to happen. It's going to happen in a way that is completely different from anything else that you've probably experienced. And that's where the open-minded piece comes in. You have to be open-minded to receive, because a lot of times we've done things over and over the same way. And if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always got.
He says that all the time, y'all.
And so you have to be open-minded enough to receive something different. And just because it's different, it may be exactly what you need.
Yes.
And you don't know it until you allow it to manifest and receive it into your life. We've tried everything else. So different doesn't always mean bad.
Yeah. All right. And now we're getting to our final point, which is, actually, I might slip in another point if we have time. But distractions. I love to hear you talk about distractions.
Yeah, that's my word, distraction. That is a distraction.
Yes. You talked about distractions when we first started dating and talking.
It's important to understand, even in the very beginning. In the very beginning, if you meet someone or you're looking for love lately, and there's someone and there's a direction you want to go, be aware of the distractions, because the distractions are going to come. And the distractions are probably going to be what we just talked about, something different. You receive something different and you want to shy away from it, because I'm not used to that. I don't want to do that. I'm not. But those are distractions, and it's important that we be aware of those things that try to alter that path that God has for us.
But I mean, you said that it could be something different, but the way that the enemy works is when he's going to send you a distraction, it's going to be what you think you like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I've always liked.
Yes. Yeah.
what
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
always done,
Right.
you know,
And
how it's always
so
been.
he's not going to send something that looks bad to distract us.
Yeah.
He's going to
Yes.
send something that we think is wrapped up in a bow
Yeah.
to distract.
And then it's not always a person. It can be a conversation.
Yes.
We've had those instances where we've had a conversation, and the conversation was probably something that that you may have not been used to, or I may have not been used to, like the phone calls, or me checking up on you, and just your well-being and all those things.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have a different perspective about things, and it's okay to have a different perspective. It's okay to have a different outlook, but don't allow those things to be distractions that distract you from pursuing what it is that you want, or where you want to go, or what you feel this relationship or this journey has for you. I think, and those distractions come in many, many ways, in many, many forms. And so it's important to look out for the distractions, be aware of them. And then that we've had instances where we, had little bumps in our road,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then we had to sit back and reflect and say, well, what is that? What is that? What is this? It's a distraction. It's something designed to slow down the process, to interrupt the process, a little bump in the road or a snag. And so distractions are real.
Yes. They are real. Be careful with the distractions. So we're about to wrap up, but one of the other things I want to mention and talk about as we think about preparing for love and getting ready for whatever God has for you, specifically to women, but I'd like to hear your viewpoint. We didn't talk about this.
Okay.
And that is one of the things I had to change and kind of pull back, and it kind of falls in line with being open-minded, but being really aware of my feminine and masculine energy. And I knew that I wanted an alpha male. Like, I knew I wanted a man, yes, that took control, was, all the things, but we can't have two alpha people in the house, right? And so, and it sneaks in very subtle ways, and sometimes we disguise it as independence and all these things. And I know sometimes people say that, well, I have to be a boss, and I have to have this masculine energy because I don't have anybody who's stepping up to me. But that's not what it's always about. It's our tone and how we suggest things and how we receive love and all those things. And so I had to really know when to take down, and I still have to do it, take down my masculine energy that'll come out, and turn up the feminine energy and be in a position to just receive.
And then, yes, but then it gets to, I remember we got to the point where you said to me that you trust me.
Yeah.
You trust me. And so you want to get to the point, and it's important that you allow this person to trust you enough to let go of some of those things, or to change some of those things. I think a lot of that has to do with insecurities over past relationships,
Yes.
things that I've always had to do because no one else was doing it. A certain way I had to be because this relationship that I'm involving myself in, it's falling short in certain areas of my life. And so I think a lot of those insecurities, especially speaking from a woman's perspective, kind of forces us to boss up a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's important to align yourself with someone who, I am an alpha male.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that I have to be dominant or, aggressive with you. I was very intentional about my interest for your well-being, period.
Right.
All those things, it was just about your well-being, and not wanting anything but to make sure that you're okay. That comes over time. But you have to not allow those, that can be a distraction.
Right.
Not allow that distraction to interrupt the process. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
put aside some of those insecurities, put aside some of those past experiences, because those past experiences will make you miss
Right. Right.
what's right in front of you,
Right.
because you're bringing all that stuff from the past into this new thing this new journey that you want to
Absolutely.
experience.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you. I've had fun
It was
discussing
fun.
this with you. And we're just going to recap these. So in case you're taking notes or you jumped in on the middle of this, we're just going to recap our points, and would love for you to just let us know what you think of the points. If there's
Absolutely.
something that stood out more than others, or and
Yes.
had an aha moment, we love those.
Yes.
So number one, know your values. Know your values. 3 or
Yes.
4 things that you are like, this is who I am, what I believe. I do not veer from it. Life would not be the same without this.
Yes, absolutely. And having a different perspective on marriage, long-term relationship, commitment, you know what I mean? Just understanding the values and understanding what it is that you want, what you're solid about, and the direction that you want to go in your life.
Yep. And then number 3, having the right prayer about marriage. Are you even praying about marriage and asking God to send you not what you want, but what you need? And thinking about what marriage is overall.
Yeah. And the open-minded piece is important also.
That's number 4.
Remember that you can't have something new being the same you.
Can't have something new being the same you. Oh, that's part of your yes. The open-mindedness, the changing, and all of that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then the 5th thing is distractions. Look out for the distractions that are keeping you. They could be great things,
Yeah.
but a distraction.
Yeah. And then when you have those little bumps, take time to step back. Identify what it is. Identify it, and if it's a distraction, you guys talk about it, move forward from it, and then it's just about growing and getting better and recognizing for what it is. Those distractions are designed to throw you off that path that you desire to travel.
Right. And then finally, just understanding, ladies specifically, but actually men too, knowing your feminine energy when if you're forcing anything that is not feminine energy. That's the hustle, grind mentality. That's masculine energy. All of that. But you want a man,
Yes,
who doesn't have feminine.
yes, and then also on that note, also, it's okay to understand that about this person that you're interested in. Understand and talk about those past experiences, those reasons why it is that way.
Yeah.
Be willing to fall back and say, listen, I understand that, you know what I mean? I don't take offense, you know what I mean? Let's work through this. And then let the history and the track record and moving forward kind of help those insecurities to kind of subside a little bit. It's important to not allow that distraction just to throw you off course from your past. It's okay as a man. I can be soft when I need to be soft.
Yes.
I can fall back when I need to fall back. I can say, okay, baby, I understand that. Let's work through this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can allow you to have those moments, but those moments won't distract me or pull me away from that path that I desired to have with you. We talked about it, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. So again, thank you all so much for joining us, and look for us in a couple of weeks with our next episode. And again, let us know if you've had any aha moments, what you thought of our first episode. We're always open to constructive criticism.
Yes, suggestions.
Suggestions.
And, this is a new journey for us, and our desire is just to share our experience, share our path, and hopefully we can help someone else who's looking for love.
Love lately.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Love Lately. We hope today's conversation sparked some thoughts and maybe even some inspiration for your own love story.
Remember, love does not have an expiration date. It should always be evolving and growing, and so are we together.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement in their love journey.
And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, just drop us a line. We love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep finding, building, and enjoying love lately.